Good evening. Welcome on in, everybody, to another exciting episode here of Dbacks Dispatch with your trio, Gabe, Brandon, and myself, Brett. We want to welcome you guys on in and say thank you for taking time out of your day or evening if you're listening to us live, like our lovely followers here, Red Sox Nation, Cruz, our resident Dodger troll, and even Corbin Barrels. So we appreciate you guys all tuning on in here Sunday evening. I know it's late, but again, thank you very much for spending your free time with us. If this is your first time listening to DBX Dispatch, whichever way you found us, whether through our Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, whatever like that, we appreciate you guys as well. If you guys could like, comment, and also subscribe. I think we're close to 400, which would be a pretty cool mark to get to, especially if doing it in the off season when there's not too much going on D-backs news wide would be great. Like I said, make sure you're following us on all socials, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Our link to our Discord, which is absolutely free, should be in the descriptions here on Apple, Spotify, also wherever else you might listen to. Same with our pinned tweet on our Twitter. And then make sure you guys also go over to azsnakepit.com. Check out the great articles over there, especially if you're looking for some more information on some of the new news that we're going to be discussing here in today's show. Trying to get some more differing opinions, maybe some more deep dives, and things like that. Make sure you guys go over to azsnakepit.com. There's some great writers over there, people that are in our Discord, other writers, a part of the D-backs community that have been doing it for years. So you guys will find something for everybody over there. Again, azsnakepit.com. But again, oh, sorry, my fan knocked down the wrapping paper behind me, and I thought I was getting attacked by a ghost. Yeah, so there's a little bit of D-backs news to actually like fully discuss for once. As we'll kind of just dive on into things. Obviously, all of us were, at least I was working today, and we couldn't emergency pod. We were all busy, but we're at least getting in the pod now. The D-backs finally had some big news, especially rotation wise. As I know, last episode we talked a lot about Mike Soroka. Wasn't going to move the needle a lot. But he at least was, addressing the starting rotation, and there was a lot of discussion going into the offseason about, the two big names departing the D-backs rotation, at least at the time being, in Merrill Kelly and Zach Gallen, and which one of them we'd want back, which one of them we could get back, either if it's either one of them or none of them. And it looks like our questions have been answered, as the D-backs did reach an agreement with the mainstay Merrill Kelly. He is back in the desert on a 2-year, $40 million deal. So it looks like the D-backs kind of fleeced the Rangers at the trade deadline, getting those three prospects that kind of bolstered their pitching rotation or pitching system, but then also bringing Merrill Kelly back to the desert here. Like I said, not the cheapest deal, but you know what? The mainstay deserves it after being obviously the nickname the mainstay. Just very, very consistent over the last couple years. I mean, even last year put up a 2.9 WAR, 3.52 ERA. Obviously, even with missing a little bit of time, still put up 184 innings with just over a 1.1 WHIP. So love to see the mainstay back, especially we need all the kind of pitching that we can possibly get going into this next year, where we're going to be kind of hurt a little bit. We're going to be missing Corbin Burns for the most part. Zach Gallen pretty much can probably kiss that fully goodbye. But we at least get some news, and we don't have to worry about Ryan Nelson, which he's really solid. I'm not going to say Ryan Nelson's isn't solid, but he doesn't have the track record that Merrill Kelly does. So we at least have Merrill Kelly that can be, I guess for now, our ace going into 2026. And we have that kind of question solved there, but it does, obviously looking at the years there, if we factor in him, Soroka's contract, and what a lot of the reports were from Jack Summers and other writers on the money the Diamondbacks had to spend this offseason, it does kind of already eat up a big chunk. There hasn't been any, fine details come out yet. Maybe there's a bunch of money deferred, as a lot of teams are probably going to get those deferrals in before something changes in the next players bargaining agreement. So maybe there's a bunch of money deferred that kind of leaves them on the table for them to still address their bullpen issue that we'll kind of talk about a little bit. But either way, the mainstay is back. I know a lot of us were very, very happy to see that news today, and some actual positive news for the D-backs. And it wasn't a big trade that a lot of us are probably dreading, even thinking about every day. But with the news of the mainstay coming back, obviously the years, the money, and everything like that, what is your initial reaction to the Arizona native returning home and, being able to call the desert his home again for at least another 2 years?
I think this is a major move. Obviously, there's a lot bigger name pitchers out there, but I think this was the move that needed to be done by the Diamondbacks, by Mike Hazen, because, I mean, we've seen like the Mets, especially like so many guys moving on. Like that fan base is getting very impatient and very frustrated with them. And right now, with all the talk about Cattell, like this fan base is also frustrated. The fact that they're not making any real moves so far. I mean, Soroka is, a good depth piece, but he's not, he's not Dylan Cease or something like that. It's not like a guy that, if you see, oh, we got Soroka, and that means that maybe it will be a 500 team, maybe, if Soroka comes here. With Merrill Kelly, I do think this team does have a better chance, at least to be competitive. I believe Mike Hazen specifically mentioned that in one of the radio interviews he did recently, where he said that he wants to be competitive by the time Corbin Burns, J Mart, and Puck comes back. And I think that's probably the most important thing to look at here is that they have they have about four legitimate starting pitchers: Merrill Kelly, um, Nelson, Fott, Erod, and then Soroka. And I do think that's a pretty decent lineup or starting staff. Obviously, it's not the best staff in Major League Baseball. It's not even the best starting staff in the National League West. But I do think it's a good starting point, especially when Corbin Burns comes back, if he comes back, and he is the Corbin Burns that we all know and love. I do think this team does get a lot better suddenly. And if, Soroka has some experience in the bullpen, he can be in the bullpen, and we'll talk about it in a little bit. Same with Urquidy. They have just enough experience in the bullpen and as a spot starter here and there, so that you can give these guys time off because, as we've seen, you can never have too much starting pitching. This team suffered last year because so many of the starting pitchers and the bullpen went down. But this is not the first move, and it shouldn't be the last move that Mike Hazen makes. There still needs to be a couple moves for the bullpen, and there still needs to be a first baseman, a third baseman, and a left fielder. We need answers there, and maybe it comes with the trade. I don't know yet. It's all up to Mike Hazen and co. to see what they do. It's up to Ken Kendrick, how much leash he's willing to give Mike Hazen, if he's going to give him 20, 30, 40 million, or is he at the end of that rope or whatever that he gave to Hazen. So I do, like I said, I am excited to see Merrill Kelly back. He probably should be the opening day starter. I think just because of seniority, as great as Nelson was. Merrill has just been amazing. He did have a bit of a tale of two cities last season. When he was here, 3.22 ERA and 22 starts, but then he faltered a little bit in Texas. He had, I think, two blowups that really messed him up a little bit, and he made 10 starts, 4.23 ERA with 55 innings pitched. And I know for sure there was two starts. I believe he was rolling, and they took him out with like 5 innings or 4 innings or something like that. They pulled him pretty quick. So they didn't, fully let him, I guess, get accustomed to it. But one of the things I want to highlight is his cutter. Last season, his cutter was incredible. He used it 20% of the time. Opponents batted 1.181 batting average with let's see, that would be like very low 600s OPS. So overall, that cutter, I think, it's going to age really well, and that's one of the main things that we're looking forward to seeing with Merrill Kelly because, again, he's not young. He's about 35 years old. So this isn't a young 28, 29-year-old pitcher. This is an aging pitcher, and sometimes these guys got to get crafty, and that cutter seems to be his main out pitch, especially last season. He used it as as a put-away pitch. It has right here 26.9% of the time, or more or less 27% of the time he uses it as an out pitch. He's getting a lot of swing and miss in it, a lot of ground balls off of that. So I'm excited to see what he's going to be able to do next season. Again, Corbin Burns, Merrill Kelly, Ryan Nelson, you trust those three main starters once they're all back.
Yeah, so it's definitely at least going to give us a little bit more confidence going into that season. Not as many question marks. I mean, I know Urquidy was going to be a depth kind of signing there, but with the way the rotation was going, he would have been probably, or Soroka probably would have been our 4, Urquidy would have been our 5, obviously, depending on how he would do in spring training, which I imagine he gets an invite. But I'll probably start the season off in AAA, which is a great place to kind of get your confidence pitching back, right? Going to Reno and try to deal with the fucking slugfest that is down there. But hopefully, like I said, can't really go wrong with some depth there. Even our man Nugget on his Dbacks prospect account is bringing up the Dbacks AAA rotation is going to be pretty solid. You got Cole Drake, Mitch Bratt, which I believe both of those guys were a part of that Merrill Kelly trade. So thank you very much, Rangers. Again, we got 3 players from Merrill Kelly for 2.5 months, and he just comes right back. Can't go wrong with that at all. But then we also got Dylan Ray, Geisting, and then Urquidy rounding out in the 5. So definitely got some at least depth there, and we at least have a little bit more, at least a question in some area of concern answered. And also want to say that any questions you guys have, like our Red Sox Nation, we will get to any of your questions and all that kind of near the end of the show. So let us know any questions you have for the team, anything that you want us to kind of get our thoughts into. We'll start and we'll kind of address on it here in a little bit. But Yeah, so I think the Merrill Kelly, still has got some really nice stuff left in the tank. Obviously, not going to compare him fully to Greg Max. I mean, Greg Max is a Hall of Famer, but I feel like Merrill Kelly has kind of a Greg Max esque where he's not going to fully overpower guys. I feel like he still throws a little bit harder. But he's going to kind of worry about more finesse, and as long as he has that control, which I still think that he's going to have that control. Like, yes, he'll have a few blow up starts here and there. He had some here, obviously the first one or one of the early ones against the Yankees at the start of the year. Even like Gabe mentioned, kind of touched on there's one or two there in Texas. So he is prone to having a couple blow up starts, but what major league pitcher isn't? I mean, even guys like Tarek Skubal, Garrett Crochet have that from time to time. So it's at least some more depth, and a guy that we know in the system, guy that's familiar with the clubhouse and the training staff. So it's not like we have to worry about a brand new guy. Getting used to everything here in the desert, it should just fit right back in, and can probably feel like a normal offseason once again. But Brandon, passing it on to you now. What are your thoughts on Merrill Kelly? Anything you wanted to touch on? Maybe double back on like that Gabe was saying. Anything that you wanted to add that you kind of have any opinions on? And then also, I guess another question I have for you, Brandon, and then Gabe, if you want to touch on it afterwards. Does this pretty much solidify that Zach Gallen is no longer returning as an Dbacks?
Yeah. I was so happy to hear this news when I woke up this morning. This was like, and this the deal that he got was exactly what I was thinking. I was thinking 2 years, 40, maybe 45. So this is exactly in the sweet spot that I thought they were going to offer to him. Kelly has a shot after this contract to probably be the third best starting pitcher in franchise history. He is 2.8 WAR behind Zach Gallen. So unless they re-sign Gallen, he'll be able to make up that ground. He had a 3 WAR last year. So if he basically repeats his performance from last year, he'll surpass Gallen for WAR, and that'll be fourth behind Schilling, Webb, and Randy. Wins, he's at 62. Gallen's at 65. Webby's at 87. That's asking a lot. I don't think he's going to reach Webby with this 2-year deal. I think it's asking a lot for him to get 25 wins in 2 seasons. I mean, he can do it. There's no doubt about it in my mind. And then strikeouts. He has a shot to probably finish fourth with Robbie Ray. He's about 130, 140 behind. So he has a real shot to really cement his legacy in this franchise, to be the third best behind Randy and Webby. Some of you could say Kurt Schilling. I'm not going to say Kurt Schilling. So I'm just like, Mike Hazen fleeced the Texas Rangers. The fact that we traded him, didn't have him for 2 months, got 3 decent young pitching prospects, which is what we needed, and you bring them back anyway, you didn't lose anything. Like, would it have been nice to have him down the stretch last year, and could that have been a difference between playoffs? Potentially. I don't know. I think we have a lot of other issues from last year. So, but it's just great to see him back. Like, it just would have been weird if he finished his career in another jersey. So I'm really glad to see the mainstay is back, and I agree with Gabe. He's the opening day starter. I love Nelson. He's a 3, maybe a 2, maybe a 2.
If he pitches the way he did the last year and a half, I say 2. He's got the stuff to be a 2. I don't think he has the stuff to be an ace though.
So like right now, our rotation is probably Kelly, Nelson, Erod, Fott, and Soroka. Which is okay. I just maybe get one more starting pitcher. But like, I just think we need some depth too, and that's what's nice about that Jose Urquidy signing. Again, he hasn't been good since 22, but sometimes a change of scenery, you never know. So Kelly, it's great to have him back. He's just so cool and calm and like when he's on the mound, nothing phases him, and the fact that thanks to Dave McKay, they figured out his whole cramping situation. Like, he didn't have that after, like, the first month or 2 of the season. Like, they figured that out, and that was always my biggest concern with him is he could be dealing, and then all of a sudden he's cramping, and he's out after, 5 1/3, even though he's only thrown 65 pitches. So it's great to have him back. I always thought that between Gallen and Kelly, he was the best option. and the most affordable option to bring back. He's 37 years old, so he's definitely like this is it. This is it. So nice to have the mainstay back.
Yes, I definitely a welcome notification, a welcome surprise, at least seeing investigate the NBA refs. By the way, I mean, I think we can go all in on the gambling with our sports, how it's ruined pretty much everything, and the integrity. Not like there was much in before, but the NBA with the big issue with the referees years ago. Now that what DraftKings is a big sponsor, I wouldn't be surprised at all. But yeah, say Josh 100% agree. But on your point there, Brandon, about getting maybe some more like starting pitchers. I'm trying to find a list of just guys that are free agents this year. The MLB website has guys that are free agents in 2025 and 26, which is a little bit annoying because it has guys like, Lucas Giolito. I know he's still under contract one more year with the Red Sox. He's still only 30. But I mean, Justin Verlander should be a free agent. I mean, I know he's 43, but honestly, I wouldn't hate maybe to give them a shot.
Yeah, he had I know his numbers don't show up, but he had a really good second half, and I think that's something to look into with someone like Verlander. Like, when guys age and they lose that hard velo, like they have to adjust. We saw it with Kershaw. A guy like Max Scherzer just truly hasn't adjusted to that. But a team like Verlander in the second half of last season did do it, and then he started using, I believe, the cutter, the changeup, whatever it was. He started to use it a lot more, so it seems to be something that either especially when you get older, like it's something that you have to be able to adapt, or you kind of just die out there. Like, and it seems like Merrill Kelly is willing to adapt. He was throwing about 95 when he first started. When he first came here, he's throwing in the low 90s still, but again, like we mentioned, he doesn't rely on that fastball. That fastball plays perfectly the way Zach Greinke's fastball played perfectly off of the changeup, but except he seems to use more of the cutter rather than that. But I do want to bring up the point that Brandon made. Like, would Merrill Kelly, like, do you guys believe Merrill Kelly, if he would have stayed on this team, do the Dbacks make the playoffs last year?
I'm going to go no.
I'd say no, because I still feel like even if Merrill Kelly pitches well, like, I mean, the bullpen was a glaring issue. I still think the bullpen, like, if we would have at least gotten another, and again, I know some of the guys like Andrew Hoffman, guys that and Brendan Garcia, guys that were supposed to be solid pieces, and they're still really young. They're still gonna have some rough issues here and there. So it was a lot to ask of them to to be in that position. And I know he ended up getting some elbow issues and Tommy John, but I feel like if we didn't trade Shelby Miller, would have been, I would say yes. But obviously, knowing that he got Tommy John, I still think we would have been in the same position. But I mean, I don't think that starting pitching was our biggest issue. Like, yes, it definitely hurt a little bit. There's some innings there where it's like, having to go with like DeSclafani, who's also a free agent, which I don't want to see back. Which, speaking of Red Sox agents actually saying that Lucas opted out, he declined. He is a free agent, so we could go after Giolito, which I wouldn't necessarily hate because kind of like Gabe said about, I think you were saying about Verlander having a solid second half. Giolito was also pretty solid in the second half. I know we touched him up a little bit when he came here. We were just really patient, didn't get much swing and miss. But there's still some pretty solid options out there on the rotation market that, again, Soroka's really solid. I think he's a good 5-piece at least to fill in, but, it's always nice to have some competition. Patrick Corbin always seems to pitch different whenever there's a Republican administration, so maybe you bring back Patrick Corbin, and he turns back into good old, like, 2016, 2017 Corbin. I really doubt it, but, I mean, he even put up, like a 3-point something WAR last year.
And I think it's something underrated by these, I guess, 4 guys other than Soroka. All these guys have pitched 150 plus innings in this last season, which is incredibly valuable because that's something that we mentioned before about especially the Dodgers. Like, a lot of those guys don't throw over 120. Obviously, when you get 10 of those guys that throw 120, then you're able to make up for that. Obviously, the Dbacks aren't the Dodgers, so they're not going to be able to throw 10 major league starters out there to complete those innings. But it's something that to look out for. Like, we know for sure we have bullpen issues that need to be addressed immediately. So, Mike Hazen needs to get on that. But at least something that will help is the fact that all these guys go 6 or 7 innings consistently, whether it's great innings or not. You're still getting consistently about 6 innings or so. So at that point, you're kind of pitching backwards. You look to the 9th, the 8th, and the 7th, and then you at that point you just know that Merrill Kelly, when he's out there, he can get you 6 strong innings, and more or less the script when he's out there. Same with with Ryan Nelson or even Brandon Fott, you kind of know the script at that point. I do think that's something underrated and very valuable, especially nowadays when most starters just go 5 innings.
Yeah, so it's not like back in the day with like shout out Foolish Baseball. It's not like we have the Chad innings eaters really in here anymore. It's not like we're gonna see a lot of these guys go 7, 8, even 9, especially with a lot of injuries. Just I think the baseball has definitely turned into a bullpen game. Whether that's good or bad for the sport, I mean it gives more bullpen pitchers. Because it seems like back in the day, it's like you have like a solidified closer, and then the rest of your bullpen is like a bunch of guys that you get for like $1 million a year each, and it wasn't like a lot of. It's not like nowadays where with the Dodgers assembling the Avengers in their lineup and the goddamn fucking bullpen, where you have like 5, 6 multi-million-dollar closers and multi-million-dollar relievers. Same with the Padres, which goddamn Padres, what are you doing? Do you trade the farm for Mason Miller and then you start shopping him? Like, are Preller and
I think
Hazen?
it's the same shopping we're doing for Marte. I think it's more teams are calling and they're listing.
Still ridiculous. Still ridiculous. You don't you don't trade away the farm because you're not going to get the same return from Mason Miller. Like, you're not going to get the same exact return. Like, that's ridiculous. I don't know why the Padres are doing that. But yeah, so I think again, I think it at least fills in one of the holes that we have for the team. It's nice to see a familiar face. It's not like we have any question marks. At least a little bit more consistency coming back. But I think we're all on the same page. At least get another guy out off the the market there for the rotation. I mean, and maybe too expensive for us, but I mean like Ranger Suarez, Nick Martinez. I think not Fetty. Please no, not Fetty. See, like Michael Lorenzen wouldn't be a bad option. He was pretty decent for the Royals, I think, last year. I think he was no hitting us for a little while there too.
Nick
when we played him.
Martinez and Giolito's market value is I don't want to touch that with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah, they're gonna be a little bit more.
Same as Merrill's. It's the same as Merrill's deal. Like I'm like, if Giolito pitches like he did last season, I'm okay with it. Like it's great. Like he had a 2.1 pitching WAR, was 10-4, 145 innings, 121 strikeouts, WHIP at 1.29, which is kind of right where you want it to be for a starter. Maybe a little lower. I just trying to do another pitcher for $20 million.
I mean, the thing is with someone like Giolito is just the fact that he is a Scott Boras client, so he's not going to take the, hometown discount. Obviously, this isn't his hometown, but he's not going to take a discount to pitch $20 million for the Diamondbacks. Like some team is going to have to offer him 25 plus, and unless it's a 1-year deal, I don't see the Dbacks trying to touch Giolito at all. Just too expensive, and I mean he did have a good season, 3.41 ERA, but I worry about his innings a little bit. I believe he had about 140 innings, which again isn't what we want right now. We want to get guys who are going to be able to stay healthy throughout the season because again, if this team starts dropping like flies, then we're going to just have a repeat of last season.
Yeah, say we please no more injury bug. Please just avoid any kind of whatever was fucking cursing our bullpen and our starting rotation and just every position player or not every position player, but some of the key ones. I mean, I guess kind of a side tangent. Something a little surprising. Lourdes Gurriel's already back to taking some hacks in the cages and looks like he's training up to strength. So I know it looked like we were gonna be out of because I know with that torn ACL, which I just had non-flashbacks to tonight. God damn it. I know, like with the torn, like the knee issues, we're expecting to lose him for most of the next year. I know he might not be ready for opening day, but who knows? Maybe his recovery has been sped up a little bit. Because I mean, I don't think I was expecting to see him, taking hacks in the cages. Looks like he's actually like training a little bit.
Yeah, I think it takes about 12 months, and that's depending on the position. Like Ronald Acuna Jr. took about 12 months. He came back basically the same. I think as of right now, we should give Walshman a chance, if not look for another left fielder, and just leave Gurriel as a DH. Like at that point, he would just, we'll just have to run softly or whatever. Like I do think he would be a fine as DH at least for the rest of the season until that knee is, fully healed. Like I do think you can rush him. I mean, look what they did with Bryce Harper, Shohei Ohtani. Like you can DH these guys to where they don't need to be out there.
Kind of production.
Yeah, you can get production.
Yeah, same with
the most valuable thing is the bat. So the bat and the hips. Right now, he doesn't need to run. Don't put him out there in the field. Just let him hack.
Yes, and even on the Acuna, for him, I feel like the reason it took him a lot longer is because a lot of value comes in is like from his legs and from his speed. So we want to make sure those knees are all good. But Gurriel's never been the fast guy. Like Gabe said, you can hide him in DH if you need to. Um, Obviously, again, that was kind of a little side tangent, but that is something that at least wanted to bring up because we're on the topic of injured players and all that. Which it's nice to see that even though again I still don't think he'll be ready for opening day, but at least seems like he's going to be ready a little bit faster to where he can at least DH because I think a lot of us were expecting him to not even be available to DH until around the All-Star break. Kind of the same thing, like Gabe said, it takes around 12 months, and he tore it in like September, like late September, I think, like middle to late September. Or was it early? I don't remember exactly where it was.
It was like right at the beginning. Of the
Yeah, right at
month.
the beginning in like that final stretch. Yeah, because that's when Blaze started getting more time in the outfield. That's right. Yeah, so it's definitely nice to see a little bit, but yeah, say who knows, give Waldschmidt a shot. Love to see the young guys get some opportunities, man. Gives us some fun and all that, but I guess we kind of already touched it on a little bit there, and brought him up in the mixture of pitchers, and I don't think there's much to really kind of dive in on, because he's not the biggest name. It's definitely more of a depth move, and I think that he's going to. I'm trying to find. He's definitely going to be starting the league or starting the year in the minors, but the D-backs did come to an agreement and reported to come to agreement with former Astros pitcher Jose Urquidy. I think he was a part of that 2022 Astros World Series team that did take down the Phillies. Urquidy, again, not going to move the needle a bunch even I think in 2025 for the Tigers. He only pitched, what was it, two and a third, so he was negative WAR. He hasn't really had any meaningful innings since even 2023, and even then he only pitched like 63. 2022 with that Astros World Series squad, he had a 1.64 ERA, 134 strikeouts, 164 innings, 3.94 ERA, 134 strikeouts. He had an ERA plus of 97, so below average on that. His FIP was 460, so I think the Astros defense kind of helped him out a little bit, and a 1.16 WHIP. So again, it's not really going to be one that I think we're going to really be banking on too much. Again, it's more of a depth move, but who knows? You always need extra arms, and maybe they can figure something out with him. Kind of get him back to where at least he can be serviceable. But to me, it just kind of seems like a move that's going to be going back to it's like Humberto Castellanos. I'm like, all right, dude, like just please don't go out there and just throw some BP. Please just try to give us at least 4 innings. Even like Nabil Krismat last year, he was kind of more of a blessing, but then we saw. Against that final start against the Dodgers where he just fucking gave up, 9 runs in like 2 1/3, where I feel like that's the kind of performance we're most likely going to get from Urquidy. Again, I would love to be proven wrong, but, there's not really much to, even maybe he slots into like a bullpen as like a long relief. I could see the main path to the majors, barring any kind of injuries to any of the current starting rotation. But I mean, it's nice to have some depth. But what are some of your thoughts and opinions? Again, not really much to kind of sink our teeth into because he hasn't pitched in the league that long and he's not really a big name. What are your thoughts on the signing of Urquidy to bring to the organization as a little bit of a depth move?
Yeah, I think that's kind of how I see it. It's just a bit of a depth move. Like he's probably going to start the season in Reno, obviously barring some sort of injury. He only pitched about 6 innings last season. It seems to just be like getting him some work just so the Astros can see what he was, or not the Astros, the Tigers, I believe. Just seeing, what he had to see if they wanted to extend an offer or not. And it seems like they did extend an offer. He declined it, chose free agency, and the D-backs were able to pick him up. So I'm curious what the contract actually looks like, if this is just a minor league contract, if it's to $500,000, or if the D-backs actually offered him, $1 or $2 million for the season to see what he has. He throws about 93 last season. You can probably expect about the same as this season. Throws 93. Again, it's just a depth piece. He's probably going to pitch really well or well enough in Reno. So when this team has those long, those extended or long, what do you call them?
Stretches.
Yeah, long stretch or like the travels, the travel
days.
days.
Like burn the bullpen in like an extra games.
That's probably where you're going to see them. Obviously, again, as long as nobody's injured. But if you have like those long travel weeks where the team is out for stretches of 10 games, as we've seen before, where they're not home for about 10 games or so. So that's probably when you might see him make a spot start here and there. Maybe even after the Mexico series. I know there might be some issues with some of the guys coming back, if they're going to be ready in time. Maybe he'll pitch in Mexico. I don't see why not. So I'm not 100% sure he's going to pitch for Team Mexico this season. He did pitch for Team Mexico last season, so we'll have to see that. I believe he's playing pretty well in winter ball. I think maybe that's one of the reasons why the D-backs were convinced about him. Same with, I believe, Mena. There's a couple guys that the D-backs have that.
1 ERA in the Mexico Winter League in 33 innings.
Okay, yeah, see. I mean, obviously it is
he's
Winter League
really
again, but he seems to have figured something out. I mean, again, I believe he did get Tommy John in late 23, early 24, so you don't always return right away, which is one of the things that I've talked about with Corbin Burns. Don't expect him to be shut out, lights out type of guy, Corbin Burns. Like, he might take a month or two, if not the rest of the season, to figure it out. And Urquidy seems like, at least in the Winter League, seems to have figured something out. So hopefully, if he is dominating in the Winter League, the team could just bring him up and put Soroka in the bullpen. Or, I know he's overpriced at this point, but even Erod, we can maybe move him to the bullpen, shop him around, whatever they might need to do, and then Urquidy can find a spot with this team.
Yes, it's we've said it a couple times already. It's just nice to have some depth. After we saw last year at this point, sign any cheap starting pitchers you can, whether it's for the spot starts, whether it's for those games where the bullpen's depleted and we need a long relief. Just literally can never go wrong. It's nice to have not just a plan B, but a plan all the way through Q, whatever the fuck you need. Just have extra backups and have some extra bodies in the that can eat some more innings and whatnot. But Brandon, what are your thoughts on Urquidy? Do you kind of feel like the same, the same sentiment that both me and Gabe have, where it's just more of a depth move? We probably won't see him in any meaningful innings other than maybe a spot start here and there, maybe some long relief here and there. Or do you have some different thoughts, especially now knowing about his Winter League performance down in Mexico? Any other maybe predictions or thoughts that you might have on Urquidy coming to the Dbacks?
Yesterday, I would have said he's a chance to be our number 5 starter. But then we signed Merrill Kelly, and that basically pushed everyone back. So I think this is one of those signings where he's going to pigeon Reno, and it's a depth move. Like, it's just they want to make sure that if someone gets hurt, we're not bringing up these young guys to do these spot starts for like 1 or 2 starts. Like, we have guys with major league experience that are ready to go. So I think this is, again, we don't know if this is a major league contract, minor league, non-roster, and invitee to spring training. Like, we haven't got, because it hasn't been officially announced by the team, so we're not 100% sure as to what it is. But I mean, he's looked really good in the Mexican Winter League. So I didn't realize how good he had been in 33 innings, a 1.09 ERA, 35 strikeouts. His whip is under 1. Like, he's pitched really, really well. So obviously the team has someone down there in the Mexican League. They probably talked to whoever their chain of command is like, this guy's looked really good. You guys should probably consider it. So, I mean, it's super low risk. Like, literally, there's no risk in this move at all. Like, it's a depth move that if we have a repeat of last season, at least we have a guy that's been at the major league level. He pitched a lot in 22, looked really good in 22. So I think it's just a solid depth move, because you're going to need those. You're going to need those guys. You're going to need those guys that are in AAA that are major league ready.
Yeah, you literally, like Brandon said, I'm even to do the same thing. Knock on whatever piece of what I possibly can. Just never a bad idea to have at least some backups. But hopefully we don't have to worry about him getting. And who knows? Maybe it's I feel like they're going to give more of a leeway to Soroka, because I feel like they already getting signed him to an actual major league contract. But who knows? Maybe they're going to do the. Especially we always seem to have injuries in spring training. So again, fingers crossed, knock on any kind of wood that we can. Maybe there's going to be a quote unquote battle for that 5th spot, where maybe Urquidy has an insane spring and Soroka kind of gets touched up a little bit. Where maybe Urquidy works his way into there, but I wouldn't be surprised if that doesn't happen, because I don't think Soroka's going to have any options, and I don't think he's going to, be sent out to the minors unless it's for any kind of rehab. So. And hopefully we don't have to worry about that. But, I would not be surprised if we could pencil in a spot start or some long relief appearances from Urquidy at some point this year, just because, especially knowing the bullpen, a little bit of the weaker spot on the team that we still have some question marks to answer, and would probably at least see something from him. But perfectly leads into our third topic here. Before we kind of get into some of your guys' questions and maybe comments and all that in the chat, is the remaining bullpen arms, because the bullpen market I feel like has been the hottest market out of all. Obviously, some of the big names, like Pete Alonso going to the Orioles, Kyle Schwarber going back to the Phillies. We've seen some, position players and hitters and all that come off the market recently. But it seems like more than that, it's been a lot of relievers that have been, kind of getting signed to a lot of deals here. I mean, even just looking at the MLB list about like relievers and like pitchers that are available, most of the pitchers like Edwin Diaz, Robert Suarez, Raisel Iglesias, Helsley, Devin Williams, like basically the top five are already signed. Kenley Jansen's going to Detroit. Hobie Milner with the Cubs. Tyler Rogers 3-year deal with the Blue Jays. Mark Leiter Jr. is going to the A's. Phil Maton's going to the Cubs on a 2-year. Amelia Pagan. Finnegan's gone. Matt's Gregory Soto, kind of more like lower end names, but a lot of the guys. Again, there are still some more, bullpen arms out there, more than like starting pitchers. I mean, this list kind of goes on and on and on, but a lot of the big names are definitely taken currently, which is very unfortunate. And then there's still a little bit of a name still available. Obviously, there was a tweet sent in our Discord that we kind of saw a little bit, and even Brandon sent in our group chat. Like you got Pete Fairbanks, David Robinson, Luke Weaver, Sean Armstrong, Jacob Junis, Sir Anthony Dominguez, who was a Brave for the last I think year or two. I think pitched on the Blue Jays in the playoffs this year. Pierce Johnson, Sean Newcomb. You even got Brad Keller, Hunter Harvey, Danny Colum, which would be a pretty solid lefty. I know that's an MLB The Show MLB The Show legend right there. Dude is nasty. Evans Phillips, Caleb Thielbar, and then even Caleb Ferguson. So there are still some names out there on the market. Some of them might be going up a little bit in price, considering how hot that free agent market is for relievers. Maybe some of them get priced out of us, especially maybe Pete Fairbanks, now that considering how much money is going to Merrill Kelly and all the rumors about the Dbacks, projected payroll to actually spend with and work with. But, kind of seeing that list of names there, maybe even some names that aren't on that list. Are there any names that you particularly would prefer the D-backs to sign? Obviously, I know a lot of us want Pete Fairbanks, but even like we talked about a little bit on the last show, seeing a little bit of a decline on his strikeout rate. He is a little bit on the older end, considering for relievers and baseball age. Is there any names out there on the free agent market for relievers that you would prefer the D-backs go after? Do you think there's maybe some names more in the D-backs price range they can go after? Maybe some potential reunions in a guy like Luke Weaver. I'm just curious your gentlemen's thoughts and everyone else's thoughts on the shaping up of the free agent market and how it seems to be drying up a little bit quicker than I think maybe even Mike Hazen had planned.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the more frustrating thing, just seeing so many of these guys go, and it's not like they're all getting Edwin Diaz type of contracts. A lot of these guys are going for $10 million, or if not slightly less than $10 million. So it's one of those things where you're like, what are you doing, Hazen? Like, is this a Ken Kendrick thing where you just tighten up the purse strings, or is it Hazen just asleep at the wheel, or was it just Merrill Kelly? They wanted to focus on Merrill Kelly, getting that contract done, getting all that ironed out before they start shopping for relievers. Because as of right now, a lot of the big names are off the board. A lot of these guys are either going to be asking for slightly too much, or they're going to be willing to take whatever contract teams give them because they know they're not Edwin Diaz. They're not Suarez. Like, at this point, these guys need to accept what they are and be able to take slightly smaller contracts. So for me, it's Fairbanks and Weaver. I do think for both of them, this is, they're two guys I think this team can get for about $20 million or so for the next couple of seasons. And Luke Weaver had a great season until he got injured. He came back. He struggled a little bit. But still, overall, I think Luke Weaver had a good enough season that I think if he came back, he would be good for this team. He had 3.62 ERA, expected ERA of 2.98. He did play in Yankee Stadium, in Fenway, so a lot of small stadiums. He had an expected batting average of 195 against. He did get hard hit, but still good fastball, 95, good chase rate, whiff rate, K rate. Just gave up some walks, and like I said, playing in Yankee Stadium, 218 feet is a home run over there. So a lot of those home runs that would have gone, they would have stayed in Chase Field, if not even those 445-foot bombs that he was giving up in Yankee Stadium would still be off the wall here just because of our stupid, center field wall that we have here. So Luke Weaver and Pete Fairbanks, I do think, like I said, because Luke Weaver had a rough second half, I do think they can get him for about $8 or $9 million per season if you sign him to multiple seasons. Fairbanks, couple of seasons. Again, this is this is just to keep the team competitive. Going into the All-Star break when we expect Puck and Martinez to come back, if these two guys are, the 8 and 9 guys, I do think this team is going to be able to win a lot more games than a lot of people are expecting. And again, you just have to be a few games over 500, if not 500, by the time these guys come back, because you don't want to be at 500 at the All-Star break. You want to be at 500, not the All-Star break, the deadline. Yeah. At the All-Star break, if you're at 500, you get Puck, you get Martinez back, you get Ginkel back. Who knows? You might be able to actually make something happen there. And if you're at 500, can you imagine that? You have Fairbanks, Weaver, Martinez, and Puck and Ginkel in that bullpen, sharing those spots, and then with Jamar as closer, you can put a lot of trust into this team. And so then coming into the deadline, you are able to put more trust into this team, and you're able to shore up some of those lacking issues that they might have at that point. And like I said, this isn't a World Series contending team yet, but there is ways, I think, that they could, at least be able to stay competitive, stay afloat until they get the reinforcement backs. And I think Fairbanks and Weaver are those two guys.
Yes, I think those are the big two that I think a lot of fans would be very happy with. I wanted to correct myself from earlier, just because I hate this MLB article listing people that are free agents this year and next year. I don't think Raisel Iglesias is a free agent until after the 2026 campaign. Because I believe even in
he resigned.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I don't think it just doesn't have the name on here. They didn't update it, but again, I hate how they have people that are free agents after or this year and next year. So I don't think Raisel Iglesias is actually available, but I do obviously know that Fairbanks, Luke Weaver, David Robertson. I know Gabe even before the show was talking about maybe a potential name with him. He wouldn't be terrible. I still would like Danny Coulombe because I feel like other than Saul Frank, we don't really have a lefty, and Danny Coulombe has been pretty nasty. I'm just going to check his stats really quick just to confirm. Last year he put up a 1.4 WAR, which for a bullpen pitcher is pretty solid. He had a 2.3 ERA, 43 innings, 43 strikeouts, and a 1.16 WHIP. So definitely be a solid lefty specialist. He's on the older end, again, 36, so it's not like he's going to be our closer, but it's also nice to have more lefties. I feel like it's better to have more lefties, because if we only have one, you use that guy in a crucial spot in the 7th inning, and then if the other team, like against the Dodgers, you use him in the 7th inning in a tough spot against Ohtani and Freeman. If you get to the 9th inning and you don't retire the next 9 guys in a row, you're gonna have to face Ohtani and Freeman again, and it might be, you might want to have Saul Frank for that end of the inning. You might want to have Danny Coulombe for, against those tough lefties in there, even the Schwarbers and the Harpers and all the other lefties in the NL.
Yeah, and I will say in. I guess, when Puck comes back, but also Martinez, we've talked about it before, elite relievers can get lefties or righties out, so it doesn't matter. And I think Fairbanks is the type of guy, even Luke Weaver or even Sir Anthony Dominguez, those are the type of guys who, it doesn't matter if you put them against a lefty or a righty, they're going to be able to get guys out. So I understand the lefty specialists or guys who are going to be able to get the lefties out, but I do think if you get a truly elite reliever, it doesn't matter if they're lefties or righties. They're going to be able to get the guys out. But if you're going to be looking for, slightly, budget-friendly type of guys, then yeah, you might have to look for a lefty specialist.
Yes, I definitely some options available there, but Mike Hazen gotta start acting a little quicker if you want to make sure you can actually get it on the market before you're left with all the scraps. But Brandon, what are your thoughts on the seemingly quick evaporating? I don't know. I'm trying to sound too smart. What are your thoughts on the free agent market on the reliever end that seems to be drying up a little bit faster than I think a lot of us expected, especially considering, Kenley Jansen was a name that I didn't think would be too expensive, and I thought that, veteran move, had a pretty solid season with the Angels. I even wouldn't have been upset with him, but he's now officially off the board. What are your thoughts with what is remaining on, the table with all those names, kind of listed previously in that one tweet, then also just some other names, maybe some guys that you kind of, maybe looked up before, some names that none of us might have been thinking of, or just in general a name that you want Mike Hazen and the Dbacks to go after to really help solidify, if not at least the back end of the bullpen, at least that middle part, to get those tough outs in the 6th, 7th, and 8th innings in 2026, because we all know it was talked about so much. The Dbacks bullpen in 2025 is one of the worst. Mike Hazen has had one of the worst, 4 bullpens in Dbacks history, pretty much, out of his 7-8 years being at the helm. of at the GM position. So not usually a strong suit when it comes to what he's able to build for the team. But what do you think that could be the solution going into 2026 that we maybe finally see, a solid bullpen? What are some of the names that you think could be a big factor in that?
Our boy Josh has got you a quickly evaporating pool of free agent relievers.
There we go. Thank you, Josh. I appreciate that.
So,
It's been
Josh
talking
is
too
that.
much, so my brain's too cooked.
I'm still like I want Pete Fairbanks. I think if we really want a closer, like a legit closer, which seems like Torrey never gets, and Torrey during the winter meetings basically said, "I want a closer." So, and it bums me out a little bit that we were linked with him, and then like it kind of just died down. So I'm wondering if they weren't close on the numbers as to what he felt he was worth, what we thought he was worth. So that one's kind of a bummer. Another one on this list that I'm actually I think we should go after is Pierce Johnson. I think Pierce Johnson would be a really good seventh inning pitcher. Really, really good. He's had a really good couple of seasons. Again, not like, oh my God, amazing, but not like god awful. Like he'd be better than most of the guys we had last season, is what I'm saying. Like his curveball is beautiful. Oh, his curveball, he loves that thing. And he pitches very, very well with it. Last year had a 1.1 WAR, just over 3 ERA in 59 innings, a 137 ERA plus. So not too bad. So, and I don't think he costs a lot. I feel like that would be one of the cheaper ones to do, and it really feels like a Mike Hazen signing. Like I'm not saying it's dumpster diving with Pierce Johnson, but it kind of is. Like it's a very low risk signing, which
It's not a move that's
I feel
going to
like
get you
he's
fully
what-
torqued when you see the news, but it's going to get you at least like,
No. Like it's not gonna get this fan base all and like, oh, World Series is back on the menu, boy. No, it's not gonna do that. But for us that follow this team closely and we follow baseball closely, like it's gonna be like, okay, like an actual decent bullpen arm, which is what we need. Like we need like I said it almost all off season. I wanted 4 legit high leverage arms. I don't know if Pierce Johnson's high leverage. It's like medium leverage guy.
a higher
So
leverage
that's
than
why I'm
Taylor
like,
Rashi, man. And
I
Woodford.
mean, we brought him back, and he's just, man, that guy would just like every 4 days would have like throw like 40 pitches through like an inning and a third, and oh my lord, it would drive me nuts. So, and then yeah, like Luke Weaver would be really, really, really great. Kind of bring that full circle. Was awful as a starting pitcher for us, but he's a really good bullpen arm. And then I'm kind of with you with Danny Columbe. We need another lefty outside of Saul Frank. We could also go after Caleb Thielbar, Caleb Ferguson. Those are some other lefties here. Another one that was brought up in our Discord, Hunter Harvey, I think is another decent. He's got the velocity. And so it's really what you want with that. You want that swing and miss. So there's still some solid options out there. And I kind of hope, like, you're right, like, they really wanted to get this Merrill Kelly deal done first and then see what they have left in terms of money. Again, we don't know if the whole reduced payroll is a thing. Did they walk it back? I still think they did walk it back, and they want to compete. And I also think Mike Hazen was so focused on the Marte situation during the winter meetings that he really missed out on signing some bullpen guys.
Yeah, say it's a very Dbacks to focus on potentially trading away your superstar than worrying about keeping him on the team and addressing the holes that we have. But you know what, we've gone on too many tangents about him, and we'll save that for any actual official news or hopefully just no news. Maybe we'll get to opening day and he's still on the team. We don't have to worry about even the thought of entertaining and doing some analysis on returns and what this means for the team, all that about maybe having to find a new host, because I know Brandon's saying if we trade Cattell, he's out of here.
I said it. I said it, and I'll do it.
Yes, I don't want that. I want the trio to stay together here. Call us the 90s Braves rotation because we're the three-headed monster. We don't want to go down to just a two-headed monster. So hopefully we don't have to worry about that. But yeah, say the bullpen at least is something that we're gonna have to see them address really quickly. But I think we're it's the five guys meme. It's like, bro wanted five guys, but doesn't have five guys money. Get ready to learn, peanuts, buddy. Where it's gonna be, bro wanted Devin Williams, but didn't have Devin Williams money. Get ready to learn, Taylor Rashi, buddy, or Jose Urquidy in the bullpen, buddy. I would prefer not to see that because again, it's Mike Hazen. Notorious. I know the injuries like last year. Again, I still think about it. Maybe we jinxed it, but even last year, early on in the season, I specifically remember one of our topics on one of our post-series shows. I'm trying to remember who was it against. I think maybe against the Marlins or against the Cubs. No, not the Cubs. It was either the Marlins or one other team. It was after a home series where we were talking about, is this like one of the best bullpens that we've had? This is one of the best bullpens Mike Hazen's ever assembled. Ryan Thompson's starting to figure it out a little bit again. We got AJ Puck, Justin Martinez, all these other names, and like I think that was also when Jalen Beeks. Who knows? I mean, Jalen Beeks is I think still out there. So if we wanted to bring back into the lefty, he's probably another option that I wouldn't be surprised if they go after. Probably a little bit cheaper.
February. If you want to do that in February, I'm fine with that. Not right now, please.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. So that's why we kind of jinxed it last year, and we thought that last year would have been the best bullpen. And I know you can't really put the injuries on Hazen because obviously I don't think any of us expected. Sometimes that's the bitch about sports in general. But he really has the opportunity to actually address the bullpen issue and get some solid names and not just trying to go with this flex seal, fix a flat, kind of temporary patch jobs in the bullpen where we're just gonna end up seeing some more leaks down the road. But like Brandon said, maybe the budgetary constraints are a real issue. Maybe they're not. But if they are, then I don't think that we're going to be seeing some big names. I could see at most Luke Weaver. But again, I think guys like him, even Pete Fairbanks, are going to be seeing their market on the rise. And even going back to what Brandon was saying, maybe they didn't have the same numbers. I think Pete Fairbanks generally just saw the amount of people that were the Dbacks traded Cattell, not only they screwed, but us too. Sends an email telling us why you'd be the. Oh, that's funny. I love that, Josh. But yeah, I think that even Pete Fairbanks saw the market some of these relievers are getting, like the Williams money, Sir Anthony Dominguez, all these other guys, and he's like, you know what, maybe the numbers we were talking originally, I want a little bit more piece of the pie. I want a little bit more, especially not often relievers can hit free agency and actually command a decent chunk of salary. So. I think it's one thing that hopefully before the holidays fully come, because we talked about last show, once it comes actually like Christmas time and New Year's, things kind of dry up. So I'd like to go into 2026 at least having one bullpen name signed, and then maybe get another one or two in the middle of the pack there before we even get to February. But again, we've seen Hazen do some of his cooking late. We've seen him do some surprise moves. Even I think Nugget on his Twitter account was saying that some of the moves that Mike Hazen makes and the D-backs make, we don't even hear any speculation. Like the Jock Peterson 2-3 hours before he officially signed, we heard about him. So sometimes they like to lurk in the shadows and make some deals and get them done. So maybe that's what we're seeing with some of these other names. But obviously we won't know until there's actually official news, not from fucking Boob Nightingale, from guys like Ken Rosenthal and Jeff Passan, who are like actual reporters with actual integrity. But going into I guess our final topic here, actually going to address one of the questions that we had from one of our frequent listeners and frequent viewers, Red Sox Nation, which again, shout out you, Corbin Barrels, and our man Josh in here, and obviously yes, our resident Dodgers troll in Cruz. And then also Disruptive 299. So we appreciate you guys. But Red Sox was asking us earlier, saying, who would everyone like to see at third base? This is another issue, another one of those, questions of concern, or at least areas that the D-backs probably need to address going into 2026. Definitely not as high up there as the rotation and the bullpen, and even first base, but at least it's something to keep in mind. I think that at least for me personally, I still am on the train. Don't give up on this guy too early. Like, giving up on this guy too early, Jordan Lawlar, is just the dumbest move possible. Give him some actual time to shine. Blaze Alexander can fit into left field for the time being if you don't want to go with Ryan Walschmidt, because he did pretty solid out there. Let Jordan Lawlar actually have an extended time. Don't give it to, don't let him only have one start a week. Basically has to be perfect, or he's benched and, put into a platoon pinch hit, designated hit kind of role every now and then. Give him some leeway. Let him have a little bit of a runway actually at third base because I think he's a superstar in the making and has the tools to really, really be a solid major league caliber player. So that's my personal pick. But again, it's, sometimes it feels like Mike Hazen and Torey Lovullo treat Jordan Lawlar like he pulled a Chrissy Nome and shot a dog in front of them. But I think that's my personal pick. But I'm curious to see what your what your guys' thoughts would be on who you want manning the hot corner come 2026.
Yeah, I guess for me it's two options. It's either Gino that they either bring him back on whatever deal they do, whether it's 15, 20 million per year for a couple of years. He is getting up there in age. I do think with him, if he was going to sign somewhere, it would have happened already. So I do think maybe the D-backs have a little bit of a leg up there with Gino. But if not, then yeah, Jordan Lawlar. Jordan Lawlar needs to get everyday at-bats. We saw what happened when he got sort of everyday at-bats, playing about 4 times a week. When he was able to get that first hit, his batting average after that was like 340 or something like that. Like he really turned things around afterwards, and then they just ended up benching him because, like you said, like he shot a puppy in front of them or something. Like I don't know what's going on there, why this organization seems to hate him so much. So either trade him or let him play. Like there's two options for him: trade him or let him play. Like you can't just keep him on the bench the entire time and just say like, oh well, we'll see. Like he needs to develop, and he needs to develop at the major league level, and you can't just keep doing something like that. And so for me, it is again either Jordan Lawlar or Gino. I don't want to see Blaze there. If you see Blaze's numbers, he has one great month and then he has an abysmal month. Go back to last season, go back to season before, whatever it is. He struggles once the league adjusts to him. He just never is able to adjust back. So Blaze, I'm not going to say is a bad player or anything like that, but I see him as a maybe Chris Taylor type, a guy who's going to be great off the bench, but that's kind of where you need to keep him. You need to keep him as a super utility man. He's a guy who's going to be able to play really good defense and hit the ball here and there, but he's not a guy who should be starting every single day. And as Red Sox Nation's asking about first, just put Goldy out there. I don't want to see Locklear anymore. I'm sorry, but Locklear.
I think with the Mets,
the guy,
Alonso,
he's
we're
like
on Goldy.
Yeah, I mean the guy is like 27 years old. Like he's past the point where you're like, oh, there's something there. Like Locklear, who he is. He's a 165 major league hitter, and same with Pavin Smith, who's over 30 years old, if not over 30 years old at this point. We know what these guys are. We know what Goldy is. He traded in power for contact last season. Just put him out there. Just, whatever. At this point, I don't care. Just keep Goldy out there in first, Lawlar at third, and I do think you're going to be able to win a lot of games with those two guys as opposed to Blaze out there and, Pavin Smith and Locklear.
Yeah, but his first 90 at-bats to start the season, Pavin Smith is elite. He's proven the haters wrong. Suck it, haters, with a Z.
It wasn't even 90 at-bats. It was like 70.
Yeah, I think it was like 70. But yeah, no, hey, he had a higher OPS than Corbin Carroll one time, so all the doubters were truly proven wrong.
Also higher than Shohei.
Dude, I will not lie. That time on Twitter was absolutely hilarious for the brief month where it's like, oh, Pavin Smith better than, again, just for the rage baiting of Dodger fans. Was a very fun time in general there. But yeah, same. I think Gabe and I are on the same page. I'm curious if Brandon is too. Maybe there's a different name, but I think we'd all agree. At least give Jordan Lawlar, like it's free. You don't have to spend money on a free agent. Like for Gino, like again, I would love to have Gino back. It's just going to block Jordan Lawlar again. Just put Jordan at third. Spend the money on bullpen pitchers. You can allocate that 15, 20 million that would take to get Gino to Fairbanks or Luke Weaver and a couple other guys. I'd rather go to that. Again, I'd love Gino back, but I just think the money can be used more wisely in other positions. But again, I just looking at it as yes, I am very biased in knowing I got a big Jordan Lawlar collection, and I'd like to see him actually play as a Diamondback before we ship him off and we see a Dansby Swanson situation where he actually becomes an all-star and plays for another team, and everyone is like, wow, what happened? This guy's pretty solid. Yeah, what do you know? But Brandon, what are your thoughts on everything on the Red Sox question? Obviously, who would you prefer to start at third base? And then also, I guess, the second part of that question is who would you also start at first base?
So the safe option, I think, is Jordan Lawlar because he's already in the organization. And then, like Abe said, once he got the monkey off his back of that hit last season, he really started to play really, really well. And then he had the throw that supposedly, I don't know if it's true, caused Locklear's injury, everyone was like, "Oh, he's awful. He can't play. He can't play third base." I was like, "How do you know? He barely has 150 career at bats. Like, we're like some guys take a while to do well at the major league level." Now, if we want to go just like out of left field, just like this is beyond crazy. Have we heard anything about Murakami lately? You know he has a week left of his posting.
That's true.
It ends a week from tomorrow. We haven't heard anything about teams that he's been linked with. So either these teams are really hush hush, or him and his camp are very hush hush. Until I hear otherwise, I'm gonna think, why not? I know some of his numbers are not great to look at, but it would be pretty cool. It would be pretty cool to get him and have him play at third base because oh my god, he would destroy that pool. He would destroy that pool in right center. He absolutely would. So
As long as you don't throw him a fastball over 95 miles an hour.
Yes, I know. But again, for me, this is all dependent on, is this team's only major signing going to be Merrill Kelly? Like, are they done? Like, is everything else they're going to do be like a lot of 1 year prove it deals? Just a lot of short term 1-2 year deals, 10, 15 million. So, for first base, for me, I've said it, I want a platoon of Pavin and Goldy. I think Pavin is a decent platoon player if you want to play him against righties. And we know Goldy can't hit righties anymore, but he destroys lefties. And Pavin can't hit left. I just think it's a good match. I am a little worried about the report that the Mets are going after Goldy after losing out on Pete Alonso. But that's your fault, Mets. You decided to just basically give up.
Yeah.
On trying to bring him back. Like, that was when that report came out where they basically didn't offer because they knew he was already out of their price range. Like, I think that really pissed him off. Like, he wanted to
rightfully
stay.
so.
So that is probably what I would do is Pavin, Goldy. I think that should be their next signing is Goldy. If they can pull that off, I might even say this is a successful offseason. You bring back Merrill Kelly and you bring Goldy back, that's gonna put butts in seats.
Welcome to the action, baby.
That is going to sell season tickets. If people see that Goldy's back, especially people that haven't been following closely, people that knew Goldy, like you've said countless times, never should have left. Never should have left. That trade was so bad. And then if they want to bring back Luke Weaver, like that would be even more funny.
Bring him back, baby. Do it.
Yes, Josh's comment right here. God, please sign Goldy because he has a fire graphic, you guys. You are going to love it. He absolutely cooked with this. So hopefully we can post it because it is really, really good.
With our luck, it'll end up on the baseball images that precede unfortunate events.
So, yeah, I don't think we're going to get a lot of new... I mean, I guess we have to with all these... postings from Japan and Korea. Like, a lot of them, there's about a week left. So, they don't have to sign. They'll just go back. But I'm not sure that'd be great for Murakami if he ends up, like, not signing. It just means that everyone's like, yeah, you can't hit velocity.
Yeah, I think the name that, especially, again, I think it's going to be out of our price range. But even like Brandon said, we haven't heard much about it. And, never say never. Kazuma Okamoto, like if they do end up missing out on Goldy and they still want to make a good splash, he's a solid first baseman option. I know he's obviously already in his 30s, which most Japanese players, when they come over there, they're going to be on the older end of their career because, again, it's kind of very taboo for them to... I mean, Ohtani didn't do it too early because, again, he went into the MVP really early, but it's very taboo to basically forego, like, that kid that went to Stanford. What am I thinking about it? Let me look at his name. Rintaro Sasaki. Rintaro Sasaki basically forego his like actual like career in the MPB, and then decided to come to America to play college baseball over here, and then eventually get into the draft, which is very that's almost never heard of. You can basically get like shunned and looked down upon kind of in their culture. It's it's like you're basically giving up on your home country and all that. So you don't see a lot of these guys come over here too early. So again, he is he's 29, going to be turning 30 on I think June 30th, which is still disgusting to. I mean, God, he's only a year or two older than me. Disgusting. I hate it. I mean, still pretty solid last year, even in 2025. I think he still hit like 327, had a 598 slug, over 1,000 OPS, so he'd be pretty solid as a first base option. Again, I just think it's more expensive. I know Red Sox. Hey, welcome in, Shug. By the way, like to see you in here. Red Sox Nation is on the opposing side to all of us, saying I really don't want Goldy. Which again, I do see the concerns. Obviously, I think if he's our main everyday first base, maybe he can kind of find some gas and tank against righties. But if he's at least as a platoon option, I would take that all day, every day. It would be a great veteran presence. Would be great for the fan base. He'd crush his lefties again, which there's a good amount of lefties, just in the National League in general. So it'd be nice to see him, again, just finish off his career as a D-back. But I definitely see the concerns and all that. Do you want to bring up Corbin Barrels when we were talking about the thing he said earlier when we were talking about Marte? He said just trade Marte for PCA. And I think we can just Oscar said it. Let's trade Marte for PCA. And then Red Sox Nation said, I second that trade. Can we ban two people at the same time? I'm just joking. But it's definitely we can. But yeah, I don't want PCA. He had a solid half of a month, and I think we saw him come back to earth heavily. So don't really want any part of that. He's still a solid player, but I don't want to trade Marte for question mark in him. But yeah, there's definitely still some moves. Obviously, if we were all GM for a day, we would all make widely different moves. But thankfully, or unthankfully, we are not the GM, so we kind of get to see what Mike Hazen has up his sleeves. Whether he has some surprises, maybe they are going to go crazy. I know there's a report or a post on Reddit that was talking about teams that were in the negative, and the D-backs were in the negative. But that same post also had the Yankees at like a negative, like 50 million in revenue. So I know that they're cooking their books some way. So whoever the fuck put that report out there, don't know how accurate it is. But it did at least, kind of insinuate the D-backs were operating at a negative, net negative, and not making money. So who knows? Maybe the reports on the revenue are true, and they're not having much to spend. I personally don't believe that. There's no way you're not making money in as a Major League Baseball owner unless you're the Padres or the Athletics. Like that's the only thing I could see.
Probably the Pirates too.
Fucking Pirates don't spend money. They're making money. Like they have a beautiful ballpark. Like they're making money. They're fine. Like they're cheap as fuck. Their bob nutting is cheap as hell. Just like the Rockies. The Rockies are probably one of the most profitable just because they don't spend money on their roster and they have almost a sellout every single game because of their ballpark. But we can go on tangents the entire night on different things. But again, if you guys have any other questions, kind of like what Red Sox Nation had, and want our thoughts on that, or want thoughts of other D-backs fans like yourselves, make sure you guys join our Discord. Again, it is absolutely free. We'd love to have you guys join on there. Sometimes we get a little heated, so we got to put it on cool down mode for a night or two. Again, we always like deferring opinions and all of that. Just want to keep it civil in there. Don't attack people for anything. Again, if you disagree with somebody, that's perfectly fine. Just keep it a civil debate. Disagree. There's nothing wrong with that ever. But again, make sure you join the Discord for that. Any other final thoughts you guys want to touch on here? Whether it's going back to the first topic in Merrill Kelly and even Jose Urquidy, maybe something else you want to circle back to in the bullpen, or maybe any other thoughts on any other names that came up for either corner positions on the infield.
I have some final thoughts. It's not baseball related. That's all right. Just Rob Reiner, who's just an incredible director and actor. I'm not gonna say what happened yet, just because it's a lot of allegedly, but this sucks. Like, especially as a movie fan, this sucks for me. Like, you look at his filmography, especially as director: Spinal Tap, Stand By Me, Princess Bride, When Harry Met Sally, Misery, A Few Good Men. We even had the later on in his life, The Bucket List, which, by the way, in case you didn't know, bucket list as a phrase never existed before that movie. So if you say it did, you're a liar. Same with that Oh Sweet Summer Child. It wasn't a phrase until Game of Thrones made it up as well. So this is a guy who impacted the world over through his films and his writing. So it sucks that he passed away or was murdered, I guess, the way he did. So it really, really sucks, and I'm really sad right now. So I want that to go to him and his family. Everyone else who knew him really well seems to be a really great guy. If you want to know who he is, he's Jordan Belfort's dad in The Wolf of Wall Street as well, which he's incredible in. Just, it sucks, man. Like, I you always hate to see guys like these pass away, especially like Robert Redford as well. One of the true good guys of Hollywood. And so, my thoughts go out to him, and, rest in peace, Rob Reiner.
Yeah, definitely some very...
And his wife, sorry. So I don't want to be a dick. Yeah, his wife as well.
Yeah, so definitely some very, some sad news. And, like Gabe said, as a movie aficionado, or just people that, enjoy some good humans, like Gabe said, in Hollywood, which sometimes it seems like there's not many. Kind of floating around there. But yeah, say thoughts and well wishes to him, like his family, his wife's family, and everything like that. Anybody that was close, because obviously there's still stuff coming out. But yeah, that was very, very unfortunate news to see, and it just seems like, every day. Also, I guess some non stuff. My childhood fucking sucks. The last week, voice of Sheen from Jimmy Neutron died. The voice of Doug Dimmadome from Fairly Odd Parents died, and then the voice actress for Marge Simpson passed away on the 9th. So we lost 3 legendary voice actors.
At least with her, it was a French actress, not Julie Kavner.
Oh, okay. So it was, still though, it sucks to see, some of these legends pass away. Like the Sheen one kind of hit. I was watching. I went and watched a bunch of Sheen clips. Ultra Lord, man, my fucking childhood, man. Also, one of the greatest memes ever of the Doug Dimmadome. If you're chronically online, you know exactly what edit and what meme I'm talking about. So yeah, RIP, and very, very sad news and all that. But yeah, anything else, Brandon, for you that you wanted to touch on? Maybe final thoughts, maybe anything else that non-baseball related that you wanted to touch on, or at least anything baseball related that you wanted to get your 2 cents on in before we call it a night here.
No, I think we covered everything. Just glad to have the mainstay back. Hopefully this is the start of Hazen cooking. That's all I'm hoping for.
Yeah, maybe with this just the appetizer, and we get some some main courses here before the holidays officially kick in. And it seems like most teams and players kind of go into hibernation for a week or so before the new year officially starts. But again, the best place to be is following us on all of our socials: Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Make sure you guys are in the Discord if you are not already in there. We'd love to have you guys join the community over there. Again, it's not just Dbacks related. Maybe you like some other sports. Maybe you want to talk about video games. Maybe you're into food. Maybe you're into movies, anime, other sports and all that, basketball, baseball, football, or basketball, football, maybe hockey, whatever it is. We have a channel over there that would suit anybody, even if you want to self-promo a little bit. Maybe you're like our man Dank Lemon, who has a band, and you want to get some more eyes towards your band. That's a great place to put your self-promo. So literally any channel that you guys probably have a use for, we have in our Discord. Again, it's in our description, all of our links. It is absolutely free. Don't got to pay a single cent to join on in. Make sure you guys also go over to azsnakepit.com. There's some great writers, especially our man Josh. He's got a couple articles posted on the Yahoo Sports. So, he does some great work. So if you guys want a little bit more dispatch in your life, again, support Josh's articles. Is one of the better, more underrated D-backs writers out there. I know there's a lot out there, maybe not as well known as the guys like Jack Summers, Alex, and even Jesse Freeman, but he's still one of the more underrated writers. Has some great unbiased opinions, put some humor into it. So make sure you guys go check out his work and all the other great people over on the Pit, like our man Jeff. Anybody else you can imagine. Just great content for anybody that'll fit any kind of interest that you might have when it's D-backs related. But in the meantime, we hope that you guys all have a fantastic rest of your Sunday, a great start to your week, and then obviously if you guys don't tune into the next couple episodes, we hope that you guys have some great holidays and even a happy new year. But in the meantime, I'm Brett, my man Brandon on the right, Gabe on the left. We appreciate all of you guys tuning in here on Sunday night, or if you're listening to us the day after, whenever you are listening to us. Thank you very much for spending your time with us. Hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day, and we'll catch you guys next time. Peace out.
Under the lights, the game goes down. Desert heat, but we own this town. Brett and Gabe on the call, with Josh in the back, bringing it